Okay. All right. So for everybody who was either at the panel or who wasn't at the panel and do not know these two ladies, this is Jennie Barrett Shaw and Daphne MacDougall with the Shaw MacDougall Real Estate Realty Realtors
Yes.
at Joiner. So I am going to just take a kind of take us back a little bit to what we talked about on the panel, kind of refresh everybody, who you guys are, how you're structured. You guys were on the small team panel, but you bring a different aspect to a team because you guys actually operate as a partnership, correct? Right. So it's just you, the both of you, and an assistant. Is that right? So,
That's right.
So my first question to you guys is, do you want to grow bigger than what you are? Or you're like, this is good. Like we are good just being listings and buyers and an assistant.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've, over the years toyed with maybe we should bring on somebody else or whatever, but it just never has felt right. We make good decisions, just the two of us. What we have done when things get quite busy is we'll bring in other agents to help us as showing agents, showing assistants. And for those times, we're just have a trusted agent or probably 2 or 3 agents from our firm that we'll call on when, we can't handle the number of showings, especially when the market was really fast. We're like, if you didn't get in at, Wednesday at 4:15, you weren't going to see that house.
Right.
So we would bring in showing assistants then, but that's about it. That's about as far as we want to go.
I love that because y'all have such clarity and like, nope, we're good. Like, we're going to figure this out and we don't need to make it complicated. And like, I think when people start a team, they think it has to go like big or you have to have all the things figured out. And the simplicity of what you guys have is just genius. And y'all work together. Y'all been friends. You went to college together. And so, what each of you like to do. So to remind everybody, Jennie, you do all of the listings, and then Daphne, you do all the buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that brings me into my next question, because this is what I think through. I'm like, that's awesome. And what happens when you're crazy busy or you're crazy busy and you have more clients to serve than you have people? So you just kind of went into, you have backup people in your firm that you will pay as like a showing assistant.
Yeah.
So if you do that, are you paying them like per showing? Because I see people being like, okay, that could work, but how do you do that? Do you per showing, portion of the transaction? Like, how do y'all typically work that?
It's an hourly rate. We just pay an hourly rate. And the people who have jumped in to help us have been happy with that. And so it works out. We don't do per transaction because, over the last year, and
you can't.
Right. But we may not never go, closing, you're writing like 30 offers per client, then that doesn't make sense. And so along those lines, speaking of that, we were really buyer heavy in the last 2 years, 18 months. And so I think Jennie did end up writing a couple of buyer side contracts. But then, she jumps in to help. I'll jump in to help on the listing side if I need to. But then once there's a transaction in progress, it just goes straight back to the person who handles that side of the business.
Right. That makes sense. And that's been my thing is like how, both of you have kids, and older kids and small kids. And so when there's a sickness or when there's school things or sports or vacations, whatever it is, do y'all just bring in your extra people, or is it like, hey, Jennie, like I'm going on vacation for a week and you're in with my 10 buyers that I'm working with? Like, is that how that usually works?
Yeah, typically. Right. So that, which is a beautiful thing about it. Like, that's the part where like, I admire these husband and wife teams because I think they work really well together, but having my work wife, Daphne, is better because we don't vacation together. We would, but
we'd love to. But
right. We have. But it is really nice to be able to go away and know that Daphne's got it. And then of course, if it becomes too much, then we pull in those other people just like we do for here. But typically we don't have to. It's usually with the buyers that we have to pull somebody in because of just you can't be in 2 places at one time thing. But with the listings, and especially with showing time now, there's really not a ton to do in terms of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that to me was like the burning question of like, it's only 2 people and you have all these people. How do you divide and conquer when you have volume?
Well,
I don't think it's hard.
You know, our database, we work our database. Our people are our people. We work by referral. So quite often our clients already know both of us. And so for Jennie to say, I'm on spring break next week, but don't worry, Daphne's here. You know, you can call her if you have any questions. People feel really comfortable with that.
Yeah. You just tell them like, you're still covered. You're good.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
do y'all have to strategically not vacation or be out of town at the same time? Because then what?
We
try
to.
Yeah. We try to for and we've been fortunate that like spring break is different for our kids' school systems, living in 2 different schools, like school areas.
Yeah.
But like we've definitely both been away for the weekend before, and that's been fine. And we can take calls while we're gone. And then if we have to send somebody to show something, that works out too. But yeah, we typically try not to be, you know, out of the country at the same time.
Yeah. So how you have an assistant, what does she do? What is her job role for you guys? Like, is she taking on transaction coordinator and all the other things, or is she just like one lane?
Daphne, why don't you answer that?
She does do all of our transaction management. So she's their transaction coordinator. Once we get a contract, she kind of takes it to, you know, does all the paperwork side of things for us, which is great. She does a lot on the listing side in terms of client care for our sellers, getting them ready, being in communication with them. And then some things as necessary. She's a really great gift buyer. She loves, her love language is taking care of people. So she loves any task we assign her that has to do with working with our clients. I think we mentioned when we were on the panel, part of our struggle as a small team is, well, there's 3 of us. So 3 of us should be able to handle anything that our team needs. But what we have learned over the years is we have strengths and weaknesses. And just because we have an extra hour doesn't mean we should do something. We should find someone whose strength that task is and lean on them. So, you know, she doesn't do some of our marketing. She doesn't do social media for us. You know, we have to outsource some of that stuff.
I was going to say, do you outsource it or do y'all take that on?
So the marketing stuff is when we're talking marketing, we're talking like just like listing marketing, basic listing marketing. We actually have a person at Joiner who does that for our office. And so, and she's a part-time agent too. So she gets it and she very quickly does those things that we need to do. And we've realized that her like talent is there and it's very simple and seamless. And she kind of knows what the templates our office uses. Yeah. So she does all of that stuff. And we don't pay her. I mean, that's part of, you know, our firm. Yeah. And then social media, we kind of manage not very well. That's one of our areas of opportunity, if you will.
Yes. Yes.
But I mean, that's okay. What I admire so much is that you utilize, like, I struggle with this. I am overstaffed, not enough agents. Like I have very minimal agents, all the staff and all the systems and all the processes. And that doesn't work when you don't have a large team, right? So when I hear you say like, we just have somebody in our office that does the listing marketing, like, well, duh, like a lot of offices do have that. Like, why don't people think that like it's already in your service?
Place.
Yeah. And you just utilize it well. Now, what are some things that, what would you do different? Like, so if somebody is setting up a team or a partnership with one other person, they just want to keep it small, what would be something that you would advise them that you would have done differently? Anything?
No, I mean, it just depends on, I think we mentioned it on the panel, you know, when we hired Karen, we call her our client care manager, because we feel like that's really what her role is right now. when we hired her in the beginning, it was to do feedback calls and schedule showings on the phone calls to the office, and, do feedback calls, emails to our sellers, that kind of thing, letting them know how the showings were going, why their house has been on the market for 6 months. Things have changed dramatically in the 10 years or so that she's been with us. And her job has changed dramatically. I think it depends on when you hire, right? So if we had hired somebody, if we were to hire a new person tomorrow in this market, I don't need a full-time client care manager. I just don't. Right. But I'm not going to let the great one we have go, because we know that we're going to need her in a few more months. Right. But I think it just depends on when you're hiring. So if we had hired, for people, in, April of, or, May of 2020, I might've needed 3 people if I was really thinking about what I needed.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting, and I think it changes. And I think that's one thing you were saying, what you do differently is maybe every now and then think about, what do we really need right now? And obviously, like, we want to keep this person, Karen, who's with us now, as long as we can, but maybe sort of temperature gauging it every now and then to be like, what else do we need? I think we're like Daphne said, we're sort of, well, we can do everything. We've got it all. But you know what? We really do need to hire somebody to manage our social marketing, like with social media stuff. We really do. And we should just do it.
And there's so many people that will do that, and it's not that big of an expense. So like,
that's right.
But you've grown a business without it, because you do it, you love on people. You guys have huge spheres of influence, and that's like your passion spot. There are a lot of people who are coming into the business now that are getting a lot of their business from social media, but that's just not like your thing right now, or it hasn't, you haven't needed it, because you don't need it in the future, but it's just, you've done what you're really good at. And so that's definitely admirable.
Well, it's nice of you to say, but we often feel inadequate that how we don't maximize our spheres. Cause I do think about like social media marketing is like, when you want to get, I think the thing, like, I don't feel like I need to know strangers through social media as much as I want the influence to be there with the people who we already know. Like, I want our people to hear from us what we feel about the market right now. And I don't feel like we do a good job of that.
Yeah. And as our buyers get younger, they lean on social media more. I mean, I just met buyers this week who I know have already checked us all the way out, and our social media is probably not as robust as they would find somewhere else, but so we need to step it up a little bit, I think.
You can spin that of like, I'm out helping you actually find a house, and I'm not on social media. So that could be an admirable thing as well.
And we probably remind them of their mom. So it's okay.
The motherly.
That's right.
So tell me how you guys plan as a partnership. How do you plan for your goals? Like, is it just like, hey, I want to sell this much, or I want to make this much? And then what do you do? Like, let's just say January, we have 0 closings. Like, do y'all like have a meeting of the minds and like, we're like, oh shit, we don't have any closings. Like, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I'm going to do. Or how do y'all like conduct these meetings together? Are they frequent? Are they scheduled out? Or is it just like, hey, we need to keep our eyes on, eyes on it, and here's what we're going to do next?
So Jennie and I are like friendly and in it together, but both very competitive. And so when we set our goals for the year, we set a total overall transaction goal, and then we kind of we want to win. So if our transaction goal is 50, then she does 25, I do 25, but we are a little bit competitive. And we have had, as this year winds down, we have had that, oh my gosh, we've got nothing on our books. What are we going to do? We meet weekly. We try to support each other. We encourage each other. We remind each other to do call follow-ups, things like that. And I think it helps. Whereas I might just want to hibernate this last month of the year and feel sorry for myself that I don't have much going on, and eat a lot of Christmas cookies, then I think we feel this obligation to each other, to our families, to Karen's family, that we really need to get out there and work and help support each other.
Yeah. That is, I mean, I think the reason I asked that question is because that's the reality for a lot of people is they started this thing last year, and now you're like, oh crap, like I've got these people to support, and I'm now on a team, and like this, it's a lot of like pressure to perform when you've now started a team, if small or big. and you're looking into the future and you're like, oh, I don't have anything. So how are we making money? And so I was just wondered how that worked with a partnership. Are y'all just kind of meeting of the minds of like, here's how we're going to do it. Do you guys push each other to do things outside of your comfort zone? Or are you just like, hey, I know so-and-so talked about maybe selling or buying. I'm going to just touch them and see what I can get out of that. Is that kind of how like...
I'd say more the latter. Yeah, we'll try to push each other a little bit out of our comfort zones, but we're not real hard asses on each other about that either. I mean, I just want to add, like, you know, obviously we're all in such a changing market now, and things over the last few months have been, you know, somewhat scary, you know, as things have just dried up a little bit. Daphne and I did survive the Great Recession, and right in the very beginning of Daphne's career, we were in it. And in many ways, that was a great way for, you know, her to get her, you know, feet under her. And then I immediately went and had a baby, and then had another, you know, but anyway, you know, from that, we learned about saving money. And so we saved a lot of money and kept it into a bank account so that when the time came, and we knew it would, we would have money and not have to be like, oh my gosh, we didn't have any closings in November. Like we're fine. Like you know what I mean? Like our families will still be fed. Our, you know, our systems will run. Karen will still get paid because we prepped for it.
You prepared. Yeah. So that brings me to my next question, which might be because I know we're kind of over time here. So in a partnership, do you guys have like an operating account or a business account that you both share, that you put your commissions into, and then you pay out your expenses from there? And do you pay yourselves a salary, or do you guys make your own commit? Like, how does that structure work typically?
We make it as simple as possible. Every commission check goes into a joint account. And we pay ourselves a salary every other week from that account. And then at the end of every month, if there is overage over the amount we need to have in savings, over that big cushion that we always keep, then we pay ourselves basically a distribution off that profit. So we do it's real
profit sharing.
I love that. I just love that about y'all. It's so simple. It's like simple concepts. We don't need to overcomplicate it. It is so simple. We put it in a pot. It pays out from there. You saved. It's like marriage.
It is. It is like having a joint checking account. And you know, and it makes it important for us to talk about expenses too. Like people come up to us, can you guys donate to this, or can you do this, or do we want to buy this computer or whatever? We talk about stuff like that. I mean, I don't ask Daphne every time I buy a new pencil, but you know, if it's a big expense, it's kind of like, you know, this is our money, so we have to look at it together. And it's nice to just know that you have a salary that you're working towards, and not like every closing you're like, oh my God, I can't wait till this closing because now I'm finally going to have money. Well, no, we have it set up so it's steady Eddie. And then sometimes at the end of the month, we may have a whole bunch to profit share, or we may have nothing. Like this quarter, we will have nothing to profit share.
Right. It's reality. I love that you're honest about that, because I think a lot of people feel like guilty that there's just not a lot of meat right this second. And pulling back is what top agents are doing. And I think that the newer agents who listen to this need to know that that is what we are doing too, because it's reality. And especially a lot of the agents who've come into the market when it's been great and it's just been great. It's like, not a lot of people, there are a lot of people in this market that have been in the market in 2008 and 9 and 10 when it was like rough. But it's good to hear from people who've withstood it, and to see what they're doing to model to the new agents that are like, whoa, what is this? Like, I don't know this. And who would be could give up on it because it becomes too hard. So well, is there anything that you guys wanted to share to the audience that you didn't get a chance to, that I've missed, or just something that you think would be valuable to someone even starting a small team, or just having a one-person team or a partnership? Is there anything else that I missed?
I don't think so. I think like the biggest thing for us is like having really clear job descriptions, not like and clear and simple. As we've said, we try not to overcomplicate things and make it harder on ourselves if we need to. But my job is sellers, her job is buyers, Karen's job is, the care management, and then our admin in the office does the marketing. And like just making it easy, like, because then you can't mess it up.
Right. And it's sustainable to shifts. So
correct.
Well, so thank you guys so much. If you don't follow, we're going to get you some followers at least to your social media that you don't cultivate.
Then it'll really have to do some stuff.
That's right. It's going to get better.
Shaw MacDougall Realtors and Joiner Fund Property, Jennie Barrett Shaw and Daphne MacDougall. Thank you guys so much. Y'all are awesome.
Thanks, Jennie.
And I'm sure if anybody has any questions, you can reach out to these two awesome ladies who've been in the business forever and have had a partnership for how many years?
It'll be 15 years this next year. Yeah.
So amazing. So, well, thank you guys so much. And I appreciate your time and being on the
Thank you for all you're doing, Jennie. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Take care. Bye.